Welcome back to the Street Roundtable. I'm here with Pranav Raval. You are building and leading Shelby. I think the most appropriate place to start this interview is I'd love for you to just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your background and what you're doing over at Shelby.
Yeah, I'd love to. So right now I'm leading all things Shelby. Before that, I was head of infrastructure and core blockchain at Aptos Labs.
Okay.
And before that, I spent a few years building the core compute framework at Meta. And so we build this core infrastructure for Meta for Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and we are crossing over an exabyte of data every day. And so building high performance systems is my passion, and I've been doing it for many years now.
Okay. So Shelby is a cloud storage system, correct?
Yes.
What are the biggest issues that you see in how cloud storage is done right now?
The first and foremost we are seeing is like exorbitant egress costs. So
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
exorbitant egress
Okay.
costs.
Okay.
So when you think about any startup that starts scaling, the first thing they complain about is their cloud bills,
yeah.
right? Like my cloud bills are adding up. And so egress on the data side is one of the biggest culprits. And when you look at Amazon, AWS, or Azure, they all have similar pricing, and they charge you like probably 5 to 6 times what their cost is, or even much more than that. And so Shelby, first and foremost, wants to bring that economic parity for the same performance. So kind of bring the give the value back to the owners rather than accumulating to a large organization or large kind of a large big tech company. So that's number one. Second thing is your data gets locked into silos. So you have to, if you choose AWS, you have to select a region where your data can live. If you want to go across the region, that becomes a problem. Shelby solves the problem. Shelby has like this one global namespace. You don't have to choose your region. You can select where your data is and you can change that location later on. Doesn't matter. So, and then the first and the whole decentralization opportunities that big clouds don't provide. Your data is owned by you. Your data is verifiable. Your data can be monetizable in a way you want to monetize it. So all of these advantages on top of the cost and the flexibility.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much for sharing that. Who do you think the ideal user base or partners are for what you guys are building?
Yeah, so Shelby, we are seeing like two large user base and partners. So one is large enterprises who are very interested in bringing transparency and ownership and IP and all of that on chain. We have two big partners already. We have one app we are building for large studios, one of which is NBC Universal. And they want to bring their AI generated characters and all of the AI generated content on chain so that they own the IP and they can give powers to the creators to build and create new content that they own IP and they own revenue, part of the revenue as well. So that's a big opportunity. We have one big enterprise that wants to build completely transparency based ad network. So this is one of the largest retail giants in India. It's called Geo Platforms, and they are exploring that with Shelby. So those are the one side of the things. And the other side is the developers who are building new creator economy. They want to monetize the content differently. They want to bring more power to the users. So we have a bunch of developers who are building it on deepin, media and entertainment and AI. And we have large enterprises who are very attracted to the transparency, cost, and kind of verifiability of Shelby.
So you're building all of this on Aptos blockchain.
Yes.
Why did you make that decision?
So we want to coordinate all of the data in a decentralized manner. So the chain needs to be extremely fast, extremely scalable, and super cheap to use, the gas cost. So Aptos has like, now probably, so 50 millisecond block time, 300 or 400 millisecond finality, can scale to 20,000-30,000 TPS very easily. And the gas cost is like probably thousandth of or 10,000th of a penny for a transaction. So that is the only way we can scale the system and coordinate it in a decentralized way.
Aptos has put a lot of emphasis on what they call the move language. Could you, for our audience, just kind of briefly explain what that is and how it works?
Yeah, for sure. So I think move language is built for storing high value digital assets on blockchain. One example is that if you have some money in your account, you can either store it as a number, or the programming language should fundamentally understand that this is valuable currency. So you cannot just store it as a number. So some programming languages, early programming languages, naively said, hey, here is a number, that's my account balance. Moon says, no, this is my asset, and I really need to treat it differently. So when you try to transfer something, there are a bunch of checks and balances put in place already. So Move is built with security, verifiability in mind. It's all baked into the programming language itself. So it's a highly secure, highly efficient, highly performant programming language
Okay.
to build blockchain-based workflows.
Okay. How does it compare to like Rust or Solidity or some of the more traditional Web 2 languages? Is it something that developers can kind of easily learn and move on to and start building on?
Yeah, so Move in its syntax is more similar to Rust. We have in fact borrowed some of the concepts from Rust as well, but then we take it to the next level. So from Rust to Move should be very straightforward. But now we have seen that we are 3 years into production, and a lot of developers go from not knowing Move to building on Move in like matter of 3 or 4 days max.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So
really impressive,
we have
actually.
done that with in fact students. We give them some tutorials, and then in 2 days they are building on Move.
That's really impressive. I know that's been a huge problem getting developers in the Web3 space because, especially in Ethereum, I've had conversations with Ethereum developers
Yeah,
about this
yeah.
where they're like, people just don't want to do it because they have to relearn everything from scratch, and that's, a long process.
Yeah.
You guys primarily work with Aptos. We are actually at the Solana Breakpoint conference right now. I would imagine that there are plans in the future to introduce your guys' product onto different ecosystems.
Not in future.
Not-
It's right now. So
Okay.
Shelby has a Solana SDK. So Shelby is going to be cross-chain. Look, every chain needs to build data-intensive applications.
Yes.
And it's about time we break away from the silos and this tribalism. And if there is a good technology that is built and can be easily reusable, it should be used by any chain, any developer. Anyway, developers are building on different chains. Now they are using Amazon S3 or some other data providers. Might as well use a data provider that gives you ownership and that gives you like all the benefits that we already talked about. So there's already a Solana SDK that's out there. We have integration with Phantom Wallet and bunch of top Solana wallets already with Shelby. So it should be very seamless. People should not even know that this is in fact being coordinated on Aptos. The developers don't even need to know about it.
So, in your opinion, what does success look like for Shelby? Is it overtaking and outgrowing, AWS, Google Cloud, Apple Cloud, those traditional cloud service providers, or is it something else?
There are two key metrics: the revenue the protocol generates and revenue the protocol helps generate to its DApps. Those are the two key metrics. Over time, though, because we are cheaper, because we are almost faster, and we are provably more reliable than centralized clouds, we do want to see that disruption. We do want to see large players who are not even aware of decentralized systems. We see them coming to Shelby and say, hey, that's just a better technology. I want to use it. So our eventual goal, so in the short term, we are going to be very focused on the two revenue metrics. In the long term, we want to see a significant disruption in the cloud market.
Yeah. Do you think that the traditional cloud providers will eventually have to adopt this decentralized model in order to stay competitive?
That's a great point. I really believe so, especially after seeing a bunch of these outages. So last 2 months, we have seen AWS outage, Cloudflare
Yes.
outage, Azure outage, and fundamentally, they do not have a global decentralized control plane like a blockchain that just mitigates away a bunch of those issues. And so if we are successful, they ought to take a notice and they ought to rethink how they are coordinating their cloud infrastructure.
The way that Shelby is set up, does it prevent those outages from even being
They
possible?
do, just by design.
How does
Just by
that?
design.
How does that? Can you explain that a
So
little
yeah,
bit?
so when I was at Facebook, we have seen bunch of outage in Facebook infrastructure as well, and the outages come in what we call some sort of a misconfiguration or some sort of mismatch in the control plane. Control plane is the set of services where you have your configuration, where you have your DNS routing, your DNS resolution. There's a bunch of things that happen on a control plane, and every now and then there is a misconfiguration that gets pushed, or a bad binary that gets pushed in the control plane. And the control plane has a bunch of services, and their dependency is so mismanaged by now. It grows over time for 10 years that one failure in one corner will start a series of cascading failures.
Yeah.
Versus if you think about blockchain, it's an immutable ledger. Nobody can inadvertently change something. Even if you push a bad config, you can very easily revert a transaction. Versus in a system where you have pushed a bad configuration, it takes you now hours and hours to undo and figure out and get to the last known right state. Right? So if you build a decentralized way, and if you build all of your nodes which are running completely independent of each other, you are by design just not going to be affected by a bunch of these outages because all of the nodes in a blockchain, they operate independently. They
Yeah.
don't all push one config at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So by definition, you just don't have this kind of problems.
Yeah. I mean, if one computer goes out over here, there's still a billion others,
Yeah,
or
and-
whatever the number
and-
is running elsewhere.
And we, as when we build decentralized system, forget failures. We believe that people will be actively trying to break us.
Yeah.
We anticipate malicious behavior, right? So we are just paranoid about security, failure, downtime, and the centralized systems are based on trust. My developers have access to this system. I trust my developers, right? So the way you build it, the mindset is different. We are just much more robust in that sense. Yes, there is a bit of a downside because we cannot move as fast. We cannot deploy to the entire cluster by one single click. But the upside is that we are much more resilient and much more robust.
Yes, that's a great point. I love that. What do you think? People's biggest misconception people have about decentralized cloud storage is right now.
That it's slow, that it's more expensive, and that it's slow, it's more expensive, and then it has to be done. It has to work over public internet with low bandwidth. And so people just think that decentralized cloud storage is only good for archival storage. It's only good for storing data for long term, but it's not good for building live applications. It's not good for building scalable applications. So Shelby is going to change the game. And they're right. Like, the existing systems are built that way, but Shelby is going to change the paradigm. It's one of its kind, a new protocol that's being built.
Where can people find out more about Shelby and get involved and start using their products?
Shelby.xyz is the website. We also have a Shelby Discord server. You can join us there. There's a ton of documentation. Shelby Serves is the Twitter handle, so you can follow us and follow the journey along.
Okay. Well, Pranav, really appreciate you joining us today. Appreciate your time and your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.